So what Elwha's doing is he's taking 3 washes, and the first, just the dry wash, would be a combination probably of what was on the tool when it was used, and then what's in the surrounding matrices. And so he's pulling that off to get a sense of that sort of combination of things. The next thing he's going to do is we call the wet wash. So he'll dampen the artifact and basically wash it off as well as he can with his gloved fingers. And then the final wash is the sonicated wash, which is where he'll use the actual device, wherever that's hiding, I guess just over there. And that basically drives out all the micro residues, the little cracks and crevices and pores. So he'll, that ideally would have residue most strongly associated with actual use, whereas the wet wash is kind of in between the surrounding matrices and the use, and then you've got the stuff more associated with surrounding matrices. So then eventually all these little vials will go back to the lab. I'll be mounting them and looking at them under the microscope at between 200x and 400x, and then trying to get at the little diagnostic elements. But yeah, for the artifacts, it's fairly simple and fairly rapid. The main thing is just keeping an eye out for the contamination is all.
Right.
So at this point, all this stuff is excavated. People are touching these artifacts as they're excavating them, and we recognize that. But at this point, it's just like, okay, just want to avoid contamination as much as possible.
Right.
So you're saying we shouldn't spit on them and rub them on our jeans when we excavate
Yeah, and don't
them?
lick them directly. If you'd be so kind as to not do that, that would be really helpful. But yeah. Yeah, especially, just after lunch with obsidian blades, like, I cringe, because I see in the sites where I work all the time, people have just eaten their lunch of tortillas and whatever, and then they go and, like, is this an obsidian blade? And they rub it really hard, and sometimes they'll, like, dampen it. It's like,
I worry about cigarette fingers.
Cigarette
As someone
fingers.
has just smoked
That actually would
kind of
probably be
like
okay.
tars because it's a different kind of tobacco.
Yeah, the tobacco wouldn't hurt, but probably the paper from the cigarette would hurt. Or not hurt it, but it would be little wood fibrillous that would come out of there. Record this. Oh, so remember that you used a tool on this one.
Well, I had no choice.
Okay.
So that stone tool that you have, Elwha, is from a midden that was full of pottery, and it looks like they were cooking for some big communal event, and we got a carbon date from the inside of one of those cooking jars. So it'll be dated. It's a good primary context, but I'd love to know what they're using that stone tool for.
That's really helpful. Cylindrical vessels, and they wanted to get residues from them. But the way you usually do it is you get a sonicating bath, and that was just not going to work. So I was like, well, is there a handheld sonicator I could find somewhere that's not the toothbrush, because there's a whole other issue with using sonicating toothbrushes. So let's research online. You have to get this really specific range of kilohertz. If it's too low in the range, then it won't work. If it's too high in the range, it can actually destroy the things that you're trying to sonicate. So the thing that I found that was right in that, in like the Goldilocks zone of kilohertz was this lady's facial device from Korea.
Wow.
So ladies in Korea are using these things to like deep clean their faces. And yeah, it's a little horrifying. The other feature that it has that is not one we would ever use, it basically slightly electrocutes you.
Whoa.
But what it's supposed to do is like shock your facial creams into the skin. So you're supposed to use like the sonicator first, like cleaning everything out of your pores, and then you apply your cream and you like zap the cream into your face.
Whoa.
So it's a little intense, but
You could set up a little beauty parlor if you run low on funding.
exactly. Oh, the hell. This should not have the same number. Which one's lying? What is lying? Two. So what oh yeah, you got it.